We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for being here tonight. We will start by having Pastor Seager does the prayer and the pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Well, again, we just thank you for your love and your grace. Continue to work in all our hearts. Continue to give our minds wisdom and guidance towards your ways. Lord, I pray that you continue to protect our village, give leaders of our village wisdom and guidance to follow you, to have some peace and some confidence. Lord, continue to light the way for us all. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, Cheryl.
Here. Bassett.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Approval of the January 1st regular council meeting minutes.
January 5th, actually. This is the first. Make a motion to approve as written.
Second. Roll call.
Well, one quick question, is it elected or appointed for the new? It says newly elected in the minutes. Whether appointed or not, elected by the voters.
We're appointed by, well, we're kind of voted
I
in
know
by
that
the
matters.
council, right?
It says two newly elected and one re-elected. They weren't elected.
The two, Brian and Tony were elected. And I believe Boyer would be appointed.
Brian and Mike were.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tony was there.
Remember that.
Because it matters on terms. If they were newly elected, they would have a 4-year term, but since they're appointed, they got a 2-year term.
Well, that was through the state, how the state.
That's why I didn't know if it needed to be
Right.
worded
Well,
accordingly.
we can change the word either way, so. To make a note of that, it was, I think, motion through, so roll call.
Look down, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph. Where Boyer accepted seat for 2 years. And something other than that.
No, it's the second paragraph where it says the swearing in of 2 newly elected. I know that the elected should have been appointed.
Should read it or afterwards.
Okay. Okay.
Ready for the vote?
Yep, roll call.
Okay. Egley? Yes. Conway?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Siedek?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Valena?
Yes.
You got Phil's list in your packet to look at, go over, and ask questions on.
I know I asked Corey some questions earlier today. The one on the second page, the fourth one down, I wasn't sure. There's prepayment for half the fireworks for the summer celebration. I know if there's funds budgeted for that. I know the years past it came from donations, but the no donating company hasn't even had a meeting yet to discuss if they're donating, so.
This is all of the donations, there's
Yeah.
none left.
There was some left over, and that's none of the city or the village doesn't use any tax dollars for that festival. So it's all through private donations and from the community,
So there's enough money to pay all that?
Cheryl had enough to pay the down payment to lock them in for that date, so, yeah. We can still change the program. I reached out to them, and if we want to change anything with the fireworks display, we can. So we're just starting to roll with that committee and stuff and asking for donations and things, so, yeah.
Cheryl, what was this Muni League LLC annual agreement?
That's for the utility software, utility billing software.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Roll call.
Valena?
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Bassett,
Yes.
Conway,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Egley.
Yes.
There were no boards and commissions that have met. We're actually still working on obtaining some more board members on some of the subcommittees, CRA, I think zoning. So we had several that turned out, so we always reach out to them to see if they're willing to reapply or resit on those boards. Some of them said no, but we're about down to 2 more people to replace, so working on that presently. Next, we have council committee reports, the streetlight property committee meeting.
Yeah, Streetlight Property met, Justin Kuhn had a request for some land around a building that he recently purchased. I do have lovely maps, if anyone would like to look at them, feel free to take one of these. The committee voted 3-0 in favor of the land being gifted pending that it's legal. Avery, I'm not sure, I've kind of understood sometimes that land has to be auctioned off, but if it's a business, then it can go into the CIC, so I would like you to look into that first and confirm. We've had other entities in the village ask for land before, and we've told them that it needed to be auctioned, so I wanted to make sure that we were doing this legally. And then also pending that he would pay the legal fees.
I think you're still working on the parameters, the amount of land, different areas down there too, with
Yep.
being under construction at the present time, so.
Yeah, there's
I had
still
asked,
a lot of details around how
Right.
much land and what he needs.
You want to see it?
No, I saw it.
You saw it.
Yeah, it was just another one. So that one is a drawing for parking. The other one's kind of pointing out what the drive-through, he would like to put a drive-through around the building. He also is kind of looking ahead and knowing that there's a lot of interest in this, so he's looking at possibly some more additional parking for that. If you wanted to see that drawing as well.
But with that, we asked, I think Brian reached out to me to get with Justin, to talk about parameters, kind of what we're looking at property. Corey had some other ideas down there too, with that lift station, as a water, what do you call it?
Bulk water
Plan for
system.
people to fill up, I guess, tanks, fire trucks, if, right, maybe pools, that kind of thing. So we wanted the logistics of the parking lot and the drive-through and the depth, the width of everything. The depth's the depth, you got a train track behind it, or in front of it, so. I was actually, Brian called me later this afternoon to get with you and have a meeting and sit down and go over everything, so.
Do you know how many feet you're looking for, like from your building out to the west?
In the committee meeting, I thought, the one that talked about going to the second pole, the telephone pole, which I've measured off a bunch of different scenarios there. I think that was 150 feet, 100 feet would be fine. I would say no less than 100 feet, because I think by the time cars and stuff park over there, and you have a drive-through to go around the back of the building and come out on the Hicksville Auto Recycler side, I don't know what the side that is, but come in on the Marathon Oil side and go out on the Hicksville Auto Recycler side behind the building. I'm going to redo the whole building. I was working with my engineer on getting new prints to design the inside, and I wanted to move the kitchen to the back, put a drive-up window in.
Corey, how much space would you need if there was some sort of fill station there?
The plans for the fill station, we're gonna go where that little white building used to be.
Okay.
So we're looking, you know, to come off of Defiance Avenue and roughly between 80 to 100 feet for that drive. But our infrastructure, our new infrastructure, starts at about 120 feet from the side of Charlie's, heading west. That's where our underground infrastructure starts along 18, and cuts, you know, back towards the lift station. That's my only fear, is if the parking lot was to go over top of that new sewer main that's there that feeds that lift station, if we ever had to get into it. Or do we need to draw up something, say it becomes a parking lot, then we have to draw up some type of legal easement for us to get into that.
No, we have those kind of situations all over town with water lines and everything else where you have pre-agreements where you can have a certain, like a driveway, or, but they know at some point in time it might be tore up in case you need to.
Sure.
So,
I mean, in the utility right of way, yes, but if, you know, if it goes back, how far back are you looking to go off the road?
Well, it only goes to the railroad track.
So you'd go all the way back to the tracks there?
Yeah, I think if not, it just creates a little sliver piece that's a headache. Is the sewer, is the utilities that parking lot would be over, are those new utilities?
Yeah.
So that last 30 years?
Hopefully, right, should.
So they shouldn't be, the parking lot shouldn't need dug up anytime soon.
Any questions for these guys? So, we'll look at some logistics and bring back to the table later about the property and how it can be handled. Like a plan. Maybe we can check in on that, and then we'll have a meeting and look at some measurements and everything. Administrator's report.
I don't have anything.
Good. Avery.
First reading of resolution 2026-01 by caption only to support the Ohio Commission for the United States semi-quincentennial and declaring an emergency.
Make a motion to suspend the rules.
Is this just showing our support, or they want
Pretty much.
financial?
Well, they don't want money. I think there might be some grant money involved in it. There's some committees set up around the country, different states, where they're helping with marketing and different things like that for the events and celebrating the 250th. So the state came out with this, showing support to the United States, that, you know, Ohio and all its communities are in support of honoring and celebrating that festival, so that time, so.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Siedek?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Colonna?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Conwood?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Second and final reading of resolution 2026-01 to support the Ohio Commission for the United States semi-quincentennial.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Egley?
Yes.
Conwood?
Yes.
Colonna?
Yes.
Miller? Siedek?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Just one thing for Avery, the food truck question I sent,
Mm-hmm.
just go through Brian since he's head of that committee.
Okay.
Alrighty, that's the only type of resolutions or legal things we had tonight. Department heads, Chief Denny? All right, thank you, Chief. Fire EMS chief, sounds like they're out. So we have some firemen here this evening representing the fire department. You guys have,
Do I need to stand over here?
You know.
So I'm Tim, with the fire department. I brought the paperwork for our Quint. I got Cody here with us, part of the committee, Brandon and Blake. So hopefully, providing you with this information, we'll be able to get this Quint here to protect our village better. So we had the opportunity to be able to sign this contract for this quit by 2/4, they'll be able to save us $24,000. Yeah, it's got 18 to 22 month build time. We got $20,000 of equipment allowances on it. And when we get the equipment, it'll all be NFPA compliant as well. So when it rolls in the door, it'll be ready to go. We met with 3 different equipment people from Sutphin. This is who we're talking to right now to get the truck from. We met with E1 and Pierce, and this is who we feel is gonna be our best option to go with for our village. In the last page, we have the differences for discounts that they'll give us. So whatever money you wanna pay them down up front, they can give you different numbers as well. So, yeah. Any other?
My questions to the prior finance committee. You guys aren't planning on spending any money till 2026 or 7. I don't think we got money in the budget now to be doing anything, do we?
We don't have to pay now until once you get the truck. So once the truck delivers is when you pay.
You can just save a bunch of money if you pay
Yeah,
now.
these numbers are what you can pay up front if you'd like to save those large amounts. These aren't even guaranteed numbers, like he can come up with other numbers as well. So if you want to pay, $100,000, he can give you a number of a discount for that range as well.
Well, when's the prepayment due, I guess is what I'm asking.
30 days after the signing, or you don't have to pay, I'm pretty sure, well, you don't have to pay anything until you sign, like, to get the truck.
Okay, well, no, I just wanna make sure there wasn't gonna be a,
Yeah, no, so you sign the
Down
contract,
payment or no?
There is when we sign the contract.
yeah.
So if we sign the contract by 2/4, we save $24,000.
Yep.
If we pay for it all up front, we save $132,000, I believe it is, off the total price of the truck.
Yeah, 132,000.
Right now, the truck is right around $1.9 million.
I just
So-
wanna make sure we weren't gonna have a
Absolutely.
problem.
So,
That's the only reason I brought
If
it
the
up.
money's available to pay it up front, makes a lot of sense to save
You pay on.
a lot of money. If we don't wanna spend all of it up front, we can do a partial down. They require a certain amount, but you can overpay that, and that's where on that last page, he broke it down with 4 different
Yeah, those are,
amounts, depending on how much we put down,
yeah, those are,
there's more discount. Obviously, the more you put down, the more of a discount you would get. So those are just options. Like I said, your best bang for buck, if the money's there, is you just pay it all up front and you save $130,000.
So
If
is
not-
option 1, is that the minimum that you have to prepay?
you don't have to, no, he can give you any number you
Yeah.
like.
Oh, okay.
So
Those are
if-
just numbers that he just kind of put in there just to give some sort of numbers to
Yeah,
everything.
these are just random options that he gave us, but so say you could give a specific number that you'd like to prepay, he can give you that discount option there. But this was just stuff that he just went ahead and gave me real quick, because I wasn't sure, if you guys were interested in something like this at all. But, so the first amount that he gave us, and then if you gave the 24,000 discount, if you signed by 2/4, but we would also like to get the 600-gallon tank, which would be an extra $18,000, because right now, the way the truck sits, it's at 400 gallons of water. And we would like to have a bigger tank on it, so that would add an extra $18,000. That wasn't on the original quote.
Yeah, I feel like even though 1.9 is coming in higher than what was initially discussed.
Yeah, but, that was a year ago, year and a half.
I was in the
We've
meeting.
had 8% inflation, beforehand.
Well, right, but
Stuff's-
even when he was giving us those numbers, he was accounting for that.
Agreed. So like, one thing that we were looking at, we had some where we're going up to, some of them are at 1.9, and then if we went with another truck with what we have with a bucket, it's another extra 300,000. So this truck here doesn't have a bucket on it, it's gonna be just the stick. So we're not gonna have it'll just be the ladder.
So
That's what you guys
the,
have currently, right?
No, we have a bucket on
It does
it.
have the bucket on it?
So we've already dropped 300,000 off of it, just by getting rid of that.
and that last picture that's on there of the fire truck is pretty similar to what we would get. There's gonna be a couple differences, but that kind of gives you a ballpark picture of what it's gonna look like.
So our current tower is also made by Sutphen, so it's a company with, that truck's 40 years old, a little over 40 years old. So, you know, the quality is definitely there.
Yeah, they got a 30-year warranty on their aerial unit itself.
Versus the other companies are only at 20 years. That and with us already having this truck and it being 40 years old and, I mean, it's still in service and good to go. We know that this new truck would also last another 40 plus years.
I mean, the way that I read this though, that the prepayment, in order to get the $132,000 off, we would have to owe all of that within 30 days of 2/4. We definitely did not budget that for this year.
Well, I mean, it'd be whatever you could.
Yes,
pay.
in order to get that maximum discount.
Right,
You'd have 30 days from
right.
2/4 to make it.
I mean, I don't know
payment in
that
full.
that's an option right now.
Oh, but that doesn't mean you have to,
Right.
you know.
But if, those numbers are still good, if we don't sign by 2/4, you lose $24,000.
Yeah, the 24 is.
If we wait until, you know, wait another couple months to get that process through, you lost $24,000.
Cheryl, do you want this to go through finance
It needs
committee?
to go through me first, I haven't seen any of that. I've only had a discussion with them.
Okay, yes, definitely show Cheryl the numbers.
You know why the loss of the 24,000, say we don't sign till 3/4? What's the difference?
It's just that.
It's an incentive to get us to sign.
It's the interest on the money.
It's, I mean, it's,
If they'll knock 130,000 off, they're borrowing the money to build the thing, and they're gonna use your money to build it. So if they'll knock that off, you can probably negotiate that out of them.
You got anything else to add? I'd like to add something. So I'm Cody Sanders, more new faces here, captain of the Hicksville Fire Department. One thing that came across this truck, being the winner out of all the other ones we checked out, is this is an Ohio-made truck. Okay, this company has been around since 1920.
Since 1890, they've been family owned.
1890, family owned. The representative is actually the grandson of the founder. He knew everything head to toe of this truck. He was able to answer every question right on the spot. The truck being built in Ohio, everything from start to finish built in Ohio. It is a one-stop shop for parts, service. We go right there. We don't have to check with 4 different other companies. Everybody else is like, yeah, we have a road crew this, or you can go to a normal truck shop to get parts and this and that. So this eliminates all that headache. So our next 30 years plus of having this truck, we go right there to their shop. They have every part and inventory that we ever need. They have a valet service that if we have an out of service repair that's needed, where the truck can't operate at the fire scene, they will come and pick it up that same day or within 24 hours, get it to their shop, get it fixed and get it back. And they have the quickest turnaround to get it back in service. This truck is also capable of being a first due engine. So right now we have 503 and the tower will be going out of service when this comes in. So if anything happens to our main pumper, this will fill that void while that is out of service. It could take us priority number 1 truck right out the gate if we need to. So they were by far the most knowledgeable, and one other company was they build the trucks in Florida and then have other service companies taking care of the truck. For us, that's not realistic. The Pierce brand is made in Wisconsin. They also have different service companies to where it'd be a headache if it could be, not saying that it would, but it could present a headache for any chiefs or future chiefs to service the vehicle. So with this, I know whenever I choose to leave the fire department for 30 years from now, I can still look back and be proud to have this truck in our bay. So, and they're looking forward to having us, you know, our business, and I think this is by far the best choice that we were given. So,
Just one more question, because this goes back 3 fire chiefs, so I don't know if any of you were around, so I'm not being negative against fire department. There gonna be any more change orders?
what do you mean?
Well, guess like the $18,000 tank's already an add-on.
Well, he
was-
gave us that 3 different options on that, so he sent us the 400, and then he gave us a 500 option value on there, and then a $600 option. So the $500 option would have added $23,000 to it, but then a 600 gallon option adds 18,000, but we lose storage space. So that's why we were kind of finagling which one route we wanted to go.
To answer your question, Kent, no. We've put the time into making sure
Okay.
this is the exact truck.
Well, see,
It's spec'd everything out exactly what we want.
that was supposed to have happened before, so I've had some experience with that. If you guys are sure that's what you're getting, and you don't come back 3 months, oh, we forgot they had 2 wheels or something stupid, I'm just making
Right.
that up. And it's gonna be another $150,000 or
Yeah.
whatever.
And this is why we chose the custom build to where we can have everything in the quote that we need, and we're ready to roll when we get it.
We also have tool allowance in there, so it's coming, like Timmy said, as soon as it rolls into the doors over here, it is 100% ready to go with every tool on there that we'll need on the fire ground.
I had a question, training for this piece of equipment. I'm sure there's additional training because of the size of the truck and what it is.
So they supply 3 days of training, as far as so we can get everybody trained, because everybody's,
And have the
availability.
And have the certification for the truck. and
Yeah.
That's all part of the deal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they'll come do the training with us, and we can have them come back later and do additional training if we, feel the need, more advanced training, things like that.
I just
Down the
remember I
road.
talked to Mickey about it. He goes, hey, if this keeps rolling, you guys are getting this truck, he said, make sure when that thing rolls in, you're all qualified,
Yeah.
licensed, certified to get going. So that's,
The Ohio Fire Academy offers training as well,
right,
so you can go down and get that for free
right,
to get started too.
excellent.
So they have training that way.
Good.
And they also have a maintenance program too, that they can come up, not from the Fire Academy, from Sutphen too. They can come and make sure that the truck's perfect,
Do the annual
you know,
PMs on it.
well maintained every year as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to get up and reiterate that everybody is on the same page as far as recommendation, and, you know, this will be the best option for our village. So, thank you.
Yeah, but thank you, gentlemen, for working on this project and putting all these numbers together and specking out the truck. You probably met with a lot of different companies and everybody has probably good ideas for you, right? Their truck's better than the other guys.
Yes. We actually went down and, a few of us went down and visited Sutphen. They went through the factory. We actually went to Washington Township. They have this, pretty much the exact truck. We were able to go, set it up, use it, climb it a little bit, look, see the whole thing. Took us for a drive in it, talked to the guys that actually are on the truck all day, every day. So we got a lot of input as far as, you know, what do you like about it? What would you change about it? And we took their opinions into account as well. So that was, and then we also stopped at one other station. They had a very similar truck to this. There again, talked to their lieutenant and picked his brain as far as, you know, what do you like about it, what don't, what would you change, those kinds of things. So we definitely put the time in to make sure we got exactly what we want.
For the new council people, we did obtain a grant. It wasn't for that much money.
800.
A good sized chunk of it. I know Cheryl and Derek have been working with the grant writer. We awarded it here, a couple months back finally. This ended up, the cash was $750.
It's like 809 after we paid Mickey.
Okay, 809. So that was for this truck. So we'll have to definitely get with Cheryl, look at the numbers, crunch everything, right? Cheryl, what's your thought out of the gate? Scary? Good? Bad? Work it out?
I told them, get everything you want on the truck up front.
Okay.
Don't come back, because you're not getting anything else.
Right.
That's what happened last time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
But if you know exactly, if you have like 809,000, you kind of have a good idea how much you can put down, which we don't have money budget otherwise, but then we find out numbers from them on what kind of cost savings we'd have.
Well, we made sure it's gonna be a 30-year truck for you, so.
Very good, thank you. Fiscal officer report.
We have the fund status report, which is only the first month of the year, the cash summary, December revolving loan report. You have January police department collections and the December mayor's court. I put in the HIX-TV agenda. They only meet quarterly now instead of monthly. There's a letter from ND7 offering they do it every year, to purchase our American Tower lease. And so, I don't need an official vote, but I need you to tell me if you want to discuss it. If you don't, we'll move on. And every year it's like, no. Anyway, the Hicksville Union Cemetery, but their support request, is for $32,000, we've already budgeted. They put in their cash flow report from 2025 and their budget for this year. If you have any questions, you can email Robin, who's the clerk there. And I have an offer to cancel for office supplies, because something most of you are new, that we have a cupboard back there that has office supplies you can take if you need highlighters or notebooks or whatever. Or see April if you want to order something that we don't have.
Has there been any discussion from the cemetery asking for more, like, 20? I just seen what their projected balance is at the end of last year, and projected at the end of this year is not good.
Well, all I'll say is at our last meeting, we raised some prices to hopefully offset that. But no, they had, and when we get to that point, I probably won't be able to discuss it anyway if they want to ask for more money, but that's not been mentioned at all.
So like the year before, they asked us like mid-year or something, after we already set budgets, so we did it this year. It's on tonight's and for the bills to be paid for this year, but the projections, I didn't know they were asking for more in the future.
Not on here. I don't know about 27, but 26 is nothing extra.
All right, any questions for Cheryl? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna do my notes real quick, and then we have a special guest here, Dr. Chris Fisher, and I'll introduce you here real quick, Doc. I'll be open to talk about some of the CMH the building opportunity, but Boyer, Michael, Brian, and myself will be going to the new council member training. It's in Independence, Ohio. It's on March 7th. We're going as a group. Defiance County Health Department, along with Ohio Northern University, is going to bring a mobile healthcare unit to this year's Hicksville Heritage Days. That will be they're bringing it on Saturday, June 6th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're not quite sure where that unit's gonna be. They're also getting some help from ProMedica for staffing and some different things. But everything they're offering on this medical healthcare unit is free to the public. So they will send out information of all the different types of screenings, checkups. They're gonna help with medication, medication checks, all that, but it's all free. So they obtained a grant. This was kind of the first hit with the medical units. I think it's a good opportunity for the community to get some health assessments. Like I said, it's free. They might bring it another time during the year and get set up for people to utilize that service. So, but we thought that would be a good time for them to come with people in the town enjoying the festival. American Tower is still asking additional information on the Keller Industrial site. It is very frustrating. They thought they were gonna sign off, Avery and Michael Wall and Eric and myself. Thought they were gonna sign off here the last couple of weeks, the way it looked, and then had some more questions. Corey was able to obtain that information. I'm gonna have Avery draft up another letter. We talk about this every council meeting. It is very frustrating. I'd like to put a timeline on their final response. Brian's starting to ask for additional information on the industrial site. He wants to start moving. We gotta get this done. It's been too long, so, try to get that wrapped up. I know we've talked about it for many years and thought we saw some light, but we have not. Maybe with this new letter today, we can draft up to them, we can get some finalization on it. I would just remind people during the cold spells, we ask everyone to check on their elderly neighbors. We also have local warming locations in the community, the library, the village hall, the fire station, things that are open during the day. I'm sure you can utilize the warming stations. First Church of Christ is opening up their doors this evening for people throughout the evening from 6 p.m. tonight through 9 a.m. tomorrow, if anybody needs to use those services. And then they also said that depending on the weather and the cold spells and everything, they're willing to open up a lot more often. So if people call or have an issue with a furnace or anything, or an issue with their house, we ask that they maybe reach out to the police department. The police department can call one of the deacons or the pastor at the church, and they'll open up the church immediately for somebody to take shelter and utilize that building. So I thank them for doing that for the community. And like I said, the church is in town. I know Steve's church probably opens doors for people during the day if they need it, and things of that nature. So I also want to remind residents and business owners to remove snow and ice off their sidewalks as soon as possible. I know at times they can't do it themselves, but those things happen. But you know, we still have kids walking to school, they're walking to businesses in town, and we want to keep it safe for them to travel on our sidewalks. So that's all I have. At this time, I want to introduce Dr. Chris Fisher. Doc, you want to head to the podium?
Absolutely. Not the podium, right? I get that.
Oh, you get the chair.
I get to testify at my conference. All right, well, thank you everyone for having me. I've been talking with Corey over the past.
By the way.
That's a big TV. No, you're on the way.
You want that on the box?
Yes.
HDMI, I think.
Do you think it's in settings?
No, if you go to the main screen, back to the input screen.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. Step through.
That's what Corey had on in here when I walked in.
Yeah.
Choose to mute from the,
Be it from a computer.
with it from the computer. All right, you sound like a tech.
Not really.
All right. Okay. So like Mayor said, I am Dr. Chris Fisher. We have a Fisher Health System. That name was not random. So I guess I have a little bit of background in here about me. Just try to gain your all's confidence. I know right now we're in a time where there's been loss of confidence, especially with the closing of the hospital. So my background is in dermatology and emergency medicine. Very, very different background. Probably the only person that you guys will ever see in your lifetime that has a background in dermatology and emergency medicine. Those two, it's like oil and water. So I've got 7 years of resurrecting rural and critical access hospitals, holding various roles, chief of staff, CMO type roles, director roles, in addition to being the physician that actually services them. So I know about critical access in rural hospitals from both the provider perspective as well as from the business perspective. It's very, very infrequent that you encounter that combination because typically physicians stick to providing care or administrators stick to business. But I quickly recognized the value and the importance of being able to bridge those two gaps. So 5 years of direct hospital leadership practice, business leadership as well. I do have endeavors outside of medicine, and that's kind of just strengthened that component of what we do, as far as bolstering business of medicine care that's delivered. I'm only 34 years old, so I can't have that much, I can't put 20 years of experience up here, because that would mean that I was in middle school when I went to medical school. But in my short time being a physician and then being a leader within medicine, we've kind of escalated to this position, where we're managing facilities, we're managing our large physician practice, and then providing insight and guidance. So our overall focus for Fisher Health System is to focus on healthcare integration and coordination of care. So the best way that I put this is, we have a large acute care facility that we're doing ground up construction for in Central Valley in California. The vision for that hospital came from looking at the community first and then going, okay, how is healthcare here? Start with healthcare in the hospital. So typically people go, okay, I'm gonna start a hospital and then healthcare will trickle out to the community. What my perspective is, okay, I see healthcare in the community and I wanna see where that came from and work backwards to the hospital. And so that's when we catch our healthcare disparities, when we think about healthcare in essentially a reverse manner. And so we have a large emphasis on long-term care facilities, home health, what happens after you discharge from the facility, et cetera. So it's kind of a brief overview. All right, so the hospital in general, right now, so prior to closing, Community Memorial Hospital was designated critical access. That may not be achievable upon reopening. Whenever you close a facility, lose a license, and then have to reapply for one, you are subject to scrutiny again from CMS and other credentialing and certifying bodies in the licensure process. So what they're gonna say is, you guys have Defiance, Bryan, multiple hospitals in Defiance, Bryan, 2 other critical access hospitals, all within a 35-mile radius, which is one of the criteria for critical access designation. The other thing that you can use as a caveat is, are we in mountainous terrain? Well, Ohio, this is my second time in Ohio, it's not very mountainous. However, the roads are very narrow, they're 55 to 45 miles per hour, and especially now, they're treacherous. So it technically meets that criteria. And so I have one here, obtaining critical access designation is unlikely and should not be pursued. But it should be our first option, because the following options are much more likely to be approved without hesitation. So rural emergency hospitals, this comes with a monthly stipend. It is significant and it supports access to all of our emergency functions. So your triage, your life-saving measures, your ability to work with EMS, and like Corey was saying, instead of having EMS transfer every single person out 20 plus miles to neighboring facilities, they can be transferred here and that can save them time. But also Hicksville residents and then people in the immediate surroundings can come here when they're having an active heart attack or pulmonary embolism or stroke, and then we can have immediate interventions within that 15 to 20, 30-minute range and then essentially save their lives. It's happened frequently in most, if not all, of the rural critical access hospital that I've been to. And that would be the purpose of the rural emergency hospital. Inpatient mental health. So this comes from looking at rural hospitals, especially in light of decreased Medicaid reimbursement. We've all heard about the hysteria surrounding hospitals and rural hospitals and how they're all gonna fail now because of President Trump's one big beautiful bill and Medicaid cuts. Well, that's because the immediate surroundings are typically what a hospital is limited to. Inpatient mental health is the one caveat, where people are transferred for 100 plus miles away, 300 plus miles away, all for inpatient mental health placement. So this is a way to remove that barrier and subsequently increase these patient census to 1 million plus easily. Outpatient primary care and limited specialty services. So obviously you need to have continuity of care in your community. So introducing primary care, wound care, and then subsequently expanding to cardiology, orthopedics, potentially pain management, but all these things that people need but typically aren't accessible in rural settings. With the proximity to Fort Wayne, that would be easily achievable. Okay, so rural emergency hospital, Corey and I have had several discussions over the past, I think, week and a half-ish or so now, 2 weeks almost. So based on Community Memorial Hospital's volume in about 2021 to just prior to 2023, I believe the volumes were probably around 12 to 14,000. So this gives you an average daily volume, average daily census in the ER, somewhere between 30 to 37 patients per day. In 2024, as services were dwindling, community trust was being lost. I believe that dwindled down to somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000 patient visits per day. I'm sorry, annual patient visits. In the reopening, what I anticipate is that same loss of community trust, a little bit of hesitation. People will subsequently not know it's open, and then we'll start learning that it's open. So year one, ER volume, we anticipate to be between 300 to 3,500 patients. Year two, not exponential growth, pretty linear in year one, and then to year two, towards the end of that, adding everything together, 6,500 to 7,500. And year three is when we start seeing Community Memorial Hospital regain trust in the community, regain a firm foothold and stabilize with regards to ER volume. And then I haven't seen the firm data, but from what I understand, I believe this will probably stabilize in that 12 to 14,000 range. Especially, if we have good care, we have good resources, we have good outpatient continuity. A lot of people are gonna be coming here to receive their care in general. Okay, so staffing, I don't know how much this pertains to this context, so I kept it pretty brief. Year one and two, as we ramp up, your provider staffing is gonna be a combination of physicians and mid-level providers. Of course, it has to be staffed 24 hours a day. We need to have an RN, an LPN, and a CNA at all times, so those three representatives. Unique things about the ERs are that paramedics are appropriately qualified to assist in staffing. This is a little thing from the business side, that the cost of a paramedic may be slightly less than the cost of a comparable RN or LPN. However, they are trained appropriately in life-saving interventions, and I've worked with several paramedics in the ER. Very frequently, their capabilities in that setting exceed our RNs and our LPNs, just because, they have a very narrow scope in their training and they do it really, really well, and it translates very well to the emergency room. Intake clerk, radiology, and labs. Gotta have it. Year three staffing, as we start to see things really increase in volume, our MD or DO physicians are gonna be there essentially 24 hours a day. We'll have a mid-shift NPPA that helps keeps costs down, but appropriately handle the high volume times. Our RNs stay the same, but then we have subsequently increased our LPN and paramedic presence. CNA in the ERs, you don't really need to increase those too much, but then your radiology and your lab went from 12 hours per day and on call after hours to now we need it staffed 24/7, because the volume should be fairly consistent between 10 p.m. and about 4 a.m., which are typical quiet times when you have lower volume ERs. So timeline, this is pertinent to this audience. So months 0 to 6, we're gonna be applying for reinstatement of the hospital license. I wish that it were fast. It's typically not, but this is gonna be through working with the Ohio State Department of Health, as well as CMS, to regain licensure as a functioning hospital. Concurrent with that, we'll submit applications for a rural emergency hospital, our reasoning why, demographic information, everything to support that designation and stipend. And then a concurrent application for inpatient mental health. This is a separate hospital license. There has to be physical separation, whether, that's a door, hallway, sometimes it's a separate building. In this case, it would be just a physical door that can separate an inpatient mental health side from ER. Month 7, we have the ER reopening, and then again, contingent only on licensure timeline. So I have seen these things go a little bit faster, certainly with the recent closure of the hospital. Reconsideration for reinstatement of the license might occur faster, but I'm not CMS or OSDH, so I can't, I can't say that definitively, but there's certainly a need for it. 8 through 12, so the end of the year, we stabilize, and we're seeing growth to 12 to 15 patients per day in the ER. Months 13 through 24, so the second year, we're seeing growth from 16 to 27. So again, fairly linear. Estimated to be about one average on an increase in daily ER encounters of 1 patient per day every month that we move forward. And then we'll stabilize around 35 to 36 daily encounters at the end of year 3. Okay, so inpatient mental health. There's a huge stigma on mental health. Usually when I approach inpatient mental health, people think that we're gonna increase the amount of meth, cocaine, marijuana, drugs, all the bad things. It's the exact opposite. So we focus on geriatric mental health, so catering to our elderly population who are going through a change in their, I'm gonna say this wrong. In fact, I'm not even gonna try to say it. They're essentially at this stage of their life. Are there any like psychology major people up here? No? Okay. I just had a discussion like this, but the one thing that people have in this stage of their life is coping with essentially the loss of independence and going from the provider to being the person that needs the providing. So we see a lot of anxiety, depression. We do see a lot of dementia with delirium, and then dementia-related psychosis. So people that are seeing things and hearing things. And these are managed in the inpatient setting with a variety of antipsychotics or antidepressants, anxiolytics, and that would be our target audience. I would say that would probably be 80% of our audience, and then 20% would be people that are a little bit younger, having acute suicidal ideations, their own psychosis, some schizophrenia spectrum disorders. Once they're under control, these are actually high functioning people. It could honestly be anyone in this room. Anyone in this room can have schizophrenia, it can be well maintained, and they can be high functioning individuals. So physicians are another great example. A lot of physicians have to go seek care because of severe depression, anxiety, or suicidal ideation. So this is kind of to get rid of the stigma. But inpatient mental health makes a rural hospital very, very viable because you remove the barrier of the immediate population. And then I have a special place in my heart for the listed populations. So our veterans, I'm a former VA hospitalist and nocturnist, spent a little bit of time in the Navy, but this is a population that I know very, very well, and obviously it's always in the news. There's always a need for inpatient mental health for our veterans. PTSD, anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, schizophrenia, everything. And we can do a really good job with them. VA contracts should be fairly easy. I'm not sure what the VA offers here, but it's been my experience so far throughout Oklahoma and Texas, as well as California, that while they recognize the need for better mental health services, they don't execute, they don't offer those things. So contracting with other neighboring facilities would be one of our plans. In Oklahoma and Texas, we have a large Indian Health Native American population. I bet you there is one here in Ohio, and so that would be another unique niche setting and population. And then, they pay for things different, right? They have Native American insurance and secure contracts, very similar to the VA. And then institutionalized. So this is not necessarily corrections. I'm thinking of long-term care facilities, assisted living, skilled nursing facilities. My business model for this setting of medicine relies strongly on forming strong relationships with our long-term care facilities. What a lot of people don't know is that these nursing homes are subject to rules and regulations from CMS that are unique and not, they're unique to this setting. So I have to take care of a patient in the inpatient mental health setting, very different for a patient that's coming from long-term care than I would from a patient that's coming from another setting. Outpatient, the VA, anything like that. For example, I can't discharge someone from an inpatient mental health facility back to a nursing home on an as-needed antipsychotic. It doesn't work, it's not compatible, you can't do that. So, it's an example. But we understand it, we know the regulations, and so I specifically want to cater to probably the 30 to 40 assisted livings and nursing homes that are within a 20-30 mile radius in this area. So that would catch Fort Wayne, that would catch Defiance and Bryan. And honestly, the model, in the model, we facilitate transport to and from the facilities, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start catching people in 100 miles in any direction. Okay, yes, just talking about what we did, you notice drugs is not on here, so I do not really believe too heavily in the substance abuse programs. I am open to it, that's not what that's not the hill that I stand on though. If it's a big problem in the community, I wholeheartedly want to address it through a service like inpatient mental health. However, I do not want to have the demographic kind of disproportionately populate the area. That's usually people's concerns, is that we're gonna have more drug presence, more drug users, and that's not our intention, so. But if it's a problem here, then we can totally address it with the counseling that we have. Okay, inpatient mental health, again, 0 to 6 months, acquire licensure, plan for 20+ bed inpatient mental health. I believe that this is probably gonna get fairly high, as far as the occupancy and the average daily census. Month 7, start conservatively, average daily census of 1, some aggressive marketing, and an increase by 1 patient, average daily census monthly. So by the end of the year, we should have somewhere between 3 to 5 average daily census. In month 2, increase by 0.5 to 1. We want to be towards 10 to 12 by the end of year 2, and then moving through year 3. Again, we've established our reputation, we've done our marketing, we have word of mouth now, and hopefully we grow to an average daily census of somewhere between 18 to 25. Again, this is bread and butter stuff. This is something where I think only Bryan has a small, not heavily utilized inpatient mental health. And it's coming from the CEO over at Mercy in Defiance. Year 1, just some of our staffing. So this is lower acuity. We're not dealing with sepsis and kidney failure and severe infections and stuff. So typically this setting is staffed less. But we have more of an emphasis on counselors. Their duty takes a lot more time. The MD and DO initially is going to be part-time, a lot more remote. This is suitable for a mid-level provider. In fact, nurse practitioners have a specific credential, PMHNP, that trains them to deal with this. We also, as part of our team, have a proprietary software that our psychiatry medical director has developed, and it's a diagnostic algorithm followed by a treatment algorithm and then a gradual dose reduction. So we get the most appropriate diagnosis, we have the most appropriate treatment, and then we have attempts at reducing medication burden to try to get this person as optimized as possible. So year 2, just kind of staffing things. Okay, administration, this is our core team. I'm a physician, so I kind of bridge the gap or I kind of have this blurred responsibility between CEO and CMO. However, we do have 2 other physicians that serve in this leadership capacity, Dr. Ryan Reynolds and Dr. Kendall Almaraz. They are incredible physicians. So we just have to, which one officially holds that title, the CMO. We're planning on putting them in a cage and having them fight it out. So very robust, immediate, on-site, 24/7, or not 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday, 10 hours a day. Immediate local people, they live here, they're community members, to be, the on-site leadership. So a local hospital administrator potentially, taken away from Fort Wayne or another surrounding community, a director of nursing, director of business development. So that's probably the most key role, the director of business development. So this is going to be essentially our marketer, someone that has strong relationships in the community, someone that's gonna get the word out there, like, hey, we've got competent physicians, we've got competent nurses, everyone wants to, make these emergency services available for everyone. And then going around to our long-term care facilities, and our other referral sources for our inpatient mental health. Business office manager for local on-site accounting, and then this person will also work with medical records. Facilities manager, so our maintenance, who overseeing maintenance and groundskeeping, probably in the conjunction with the village as well. Ancillary staff members, we gotta keep it clean, we gotta keep it working, we gotta keep it nice and cut. And then security and dietary. So, in some places I've seen security in the ER, certainly like larger trauma centers. Security when inpatient mental health opens up, is definitely warranted. I have never seen security have to respond to inpatient mental health though. Never happens, very rarely happens. Typically, you see security having to respond to someone on a medical surgical floor in a traditional acute care hospital that is disgruntled and, they're totally lucid, but they get very angry occasionally. But inpatient mental health, people are usually pretty calm. So the security is just there just for support, really. Sorry, this was supposed to be year 2. So year 2, we have more volume. We have more volume through the ER. We're turning the rooms over more frequently. We do now have an established average daily census in inpatient mental health. So this will necessitate increasing your janitorial presence. Your facility maintenance, we haven't gotten any new buildings. So probably keep it the same. This is 1 person in addition to the manager. Groundskeepers 1 or 2, we're not getting any more land. And then security still 1. The census and volume does not warrant more than 1 security officer. And in fact, I've seen it where we just have security during the day and occasionally, if we need it, security during the night, and then the security during the day, if some things get out of hand, then it probably warrants a call to the local law enforcement. So, and then dietary, you have more people to feed, so we've increased that as well. One thing I've thought with dietary though, is it would be pretty, I think it would be very synergistic to have relationships with the local restaurants in Hicksville to increase their business. So I think that'd be something neat to do. All right, additional presence. So our outpatient services, I think these are very critical. If for nothing else, community outreach and building trust. So first 6 months, easy things to do are primary care, wound care, working on a specialty service with dermatology, getting them here once a week or once every other week. And then even having surgical days for dermatologic conditions. Months 4 through 12, outpatient mental health. This is gonna be a robust counseling service, our NPs and PAs for medical management. And usually underutilized services are labs, imaging, and then infusion. So people that have cancer getting infusions, people that have rheumatologic conditions getting infusions, even people that feel like crud and wanna stop by and, get IV fluids. I've had that happen recently to a couple of family members that's all they needed and they felt 100% better. They could go to the ER for that, they could go to some urgent cares for that. But infusion in this sense would be cancer and other like chemotherapy related infusions. So, have you guys had infusion or specialty clinics like dermatology? I know Corey was saying orthopedics at one point, and maybe podiatry.
I'm not aware of any infusion.
Which is interesting, cardiology is something that's usually very accessible. Again, specialty clinic once a week, once every other week, in some instances once a month. But you build up the volume, and when those clinics occur, they're very, very busy clinics. But it allows people to not have to travel, keep it all at home. Okay, so economic impact, I have not done a kind of like a hard and fast, you would see $2 million in increased revenue for the city, haven't done that. But immediately on reopening day 1, even preceding day 1, you have at least 20 jobs, 20 additional jobs. Late year 1 to year 2, certainly anticipate about 20 to 50 jobs. There's the greater utilization of the restaurants. It's not uncommon that hospitals and healthcare entities cater. So I think catering would be fantastic. Even for the early parts of when we have an inpatient census, leaning on the local restaurants to boost the local economy, it would not be much more of an expense to us. So it's just benefiting other people. Again, you keep community members within your city limits. Part of our model is a health system sponsored transportation service. Oftentimes this is reimbursed by Medicaid when transporting a patient to or from a facility. You get taxes here from the revenue, and then revenue for the local businesses, and then the inpatient mental health presence should make a new industry for Hicksville. So Hicksville should be recognized as, okay, this is, we go to Hicksville for mental health. This has happened in Oklahoma City. There's a place called Griffin Memorial. There's a place in Tulsa where essentially the names become synonymous with offering inpatient mental health services. I would not be surprised if at some point a psychiatry residency from Fort Wayne has this as one of the locations for their residents to have a presence in. So again, you align yourself with the big hospitals. Something I didn't put in here is one of the most crucial things for hospitals, small hospitals, to do is align themselves with the large hospital counterparts in neighboring towns. So right now we have that already at our fingertips with Mercy. And I see that there is kind of a relationship with Parkview, maybe like competitive, but also we want to, benefit from what you bring as a larger institution. Some things I've done in the past are like a bi-directional transfer agreement, which means we'll transfer you our high acuity, you transfer us your low acuity, or having EMS, if EMS is right in the middle of, let's say, Bryan and Hicksville, and it's a person with just dehydration, let's not take them to Bryan, let's take them to Hicksville, right? And versus if you have someone right in the same exact location that have a broken femur, of course you're not gonna take them to Hicksville, you're gonna take them to Bryan, right? Or Defiance, where you've got orthopedic capabilities. But just working with all different entities like that to benefit from their resources. Let's see, so our CFO put this together. This is a breakdown of various things that would go into hospital success. So up here is distance to neighboring hospitals. So you notice 20, 21, 23, 27. So this is all what bodes against this hospital regaining critical access designation. If it does regain critical access designation, then you have 25 beds that are accessible for acute inpatient care and swing bed stays. If that were attainable again, then all these numbers would be off, and then there would probably be slightly less loss the first year and a longer ramp up period to achieve stability, because it hinges on your ability to recruit swing bed patients. Okay, let's see, this is kind of what we went over here. This right here is your population, your census. So we found differing numbers in the population here, plus or minus around 3,500. So within 10 miles, I believe it was about 18,000, and then 20. Is it 5 miles? Maybe. No, I think it was 5 miles. 5 miles is 18,000. 10 miles is 54,000. 20 miles, I believe. No, get that out a little bit, because my last calculation included parts of Fort Wayne. But I think within about a 30-mile, 40-mile radius, you start catching some of the suburban areas of Fort Wayne, and then you can get into 100,000 as far as your population in that radius. More or less, our catchment for this area falls within that 20-mile range, 10 to 20-mile range, and I think we've got about 36,000 people that might utilize the hospital for its services. And we went down here, one of the big things that drives hospitals is your Medicare payer mix. So people that are eligible for Medicare, we have about 16.5%. Of course, your utilization of healthcare services is gonna be much more heavy here. So it's gonna be of your patients, how many are Medicare? And the answer is probably around 35, 40. And so the population here is much more than it is in other institutions or other locations. So we did a lease right here, in the situation that Corey and I were discussing. Hicksville would purchase the hospital. It would be, the real estate would be owned by the village of Hicksville. We would pay a lease, 8% for medical, so $21,000 per month. We cover utilities as well. Let's see, one of the big things that has come up is the fire suppression system, which Caleb and I have discussed, and I believe there's some grants and monies put aside for that. This is a calculation for us. This is a breakdown of reimbursement. So where we got our numbers as far as, so by year 2, we're positive. Which is significant because that means like, okay, one of the biggest things that's gonna prevent the hospital from reopening is financial burden. Essentially, that's probably the only thing. So how quickly can we become less negative and how quickly can we become positive? So taking a closed entity that closed because of financial distress and maybe some other things, and then getting it reopened and stabilized in 1 year, and then in your second year, you're positive, that's incredible. So it's just gonna take appropriate management. I think these are a little bit conservative as far as your reimbursement goes. But this has allowed us to calculate that we'll be positive by year 2 and then be able to offer these services. None of this takes into account outpatient services. None of this takes into account potentially in like years 4 or 5 being able to reopen surgical suites and offer relatively mild surgical interventions, so like same-day surgeries, maybe 24-hour observation surgeries. All right, so this is an expanded version of the pro forma, more or less, and we've taken into account, supplies, pharmacies, gas, x-rays, insurance, even laundry, IT, food and dietary supplies, and this here is a mix of like per patient, per diem, per month, percent of revenue, etc. Here's some salaries up here. Mike, our CFO, and I went through this last night, and I was telling him, like, Hicksville, I worked in places like Hicksville. You can cut some of this out, and we went through a little thought experiment. You can cut a little bit of the staffing, and it erases $500,000 per year in expenses, which makes everything that much more financially viable. So, that would be the plan. Pursue rural emergency hospital, inpatient mental health, robust outpatient services, very heavy community outreach, in an attempt to get the hospital reopened, and then strategic partnerships with Mercy and Parkview for additional support.